And we're live.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
We're live. What's up,
Okay.
y'all? Ahmed, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing great.
You are
I,
looking correct with your Jumpman hat. I like it. You got
yeah,
those cool. So
uh,
I always think in the background over your shoulder there, I always think those are like hieroglyphics because you're from Egypt. But
no,
those are that's
the hieroglyphics are here.
oh nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But the
Yeah.
things over your shoulder, those are racetracks, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I'm a Formula One fan.
nice.
So yeah. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm ready for this show. What's up,
Hmm.
Matthias? Glad to see you back, sir. And we
Hello.
got we got Wolfie in here. I think throwing some shade. That's all right. We'll figure it out.
We
We'll
will.
get stuff updated. Figure out what to do with the docs, but that's all good. Um,
Alright.
so Ahmed,
Mhm.
you kind of let the cat out of the bag on Twitter here, but
Okay.
what's your take on milk?
So for me, with hot chocolate and cereals, I like coconut milk the most. Alright. No, no, honestly, coconut milk and cereal just go so well together.
I have never tried it, but I've
Exactly.
never even tried coconut milk. I don't believe, to be honest.
It's really nice. But then, other than that, just whole milk.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Now you're
yeah.
in London right now,
hmm
right?
hmm
What's the protocol for whole milk in London? Is it a red cap?
Yes, it is.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It is the red
Interesting.
cap. And then, no way, is it the red cap? No, I think it's blue actually.
Blue is
I
like
think
2%, I'm pretty sure.
I know that green is like semi-skimmed milk.
I've never seen a green one before, I don't think.
Honestly, though, why did people just start talking about milk on
As far as
Twitter?
I know, Milky started it. Um,
Oh, okay. That's right.
Milky had something about it. Melky,
Mhm,
Melky.
mhm,
But I saw a post from him about milk. That
mhm.
was my first encounter with it, and I've just been running with it because it's been fun. so, so there you go.
Someone should just create a new framework, just milk. It would be,
Milk.js.
yeah, yeah, milk.js. Honestly, oh, that would be maybe that's what I'm gonna actually rename my project to.
Yeah,
Ooh.
nudes and milk.
Yeah, that does sound like something I would use.
Well, let's just make it clear. I'm not trying to
Okay.
be inappropriate. His the
Oh no.
project's called Noodle.
Yeah,
So
Noodle. Yeah, yeah, it's Noodle.
so
Actually, the name comes from Moodle, which is like a popular, I guess, platform that a lot of universities use.
okay.
It's also open source. And like I guess universities just self-host it with their own branding and whatever, and they use it to like put out materials to students.
What's the name of the platform again?
It's Moodle, so Noodle with an M.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not aware of this, so I didn't
Yeah.
get the reference. I guess.
That's basically what we used at our university, and kind of where the naming, I guess, for my project came. Is like, oh, it's gonna be Moodle, but N, but it has absolutely nothing to do with with Moodle itself as well.
Nice.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, Milk.js, the whole platform. Yeah, the whole platform. I like that. Arkosh,
Hello.
welcome, and Arun, welcome,
Mhm.
welcome as well, and Ori. We got a lot of people showing up. Are
Yeah.
these your people, Ahmed? Or this last time we had the whole Elsicon clan showing up
Yeah,
when
yeah.
when we had you on.
So some people I do know from Twitter, yeah. But yeah, I think
Awesome.
just the screenshot that I posted today just kind of, I guess, got people interested.
Can you
Which is
share the screenshot? You got your
yeah,
screen on.
yeah, yeah,
Let's
for sure. Um,
let's show that while we
so
talk about it.
let's see.
Alex, welcome. Nice to see you.
All right, I got it open.
Cool. Let's put it up. Let's put there we go.
So, um, This is just like a Figma design of the project I'm working on.
Yeah.
It's still in very early development. It's going to be called Noodle, and it's basically, you can think of it as Notion on steroids, but it's very specific to students. So it's kind of like, just the idea is born out of like frustration with the current like tools that you have, I guess, when you're at university, which is like, you want to do note taking, so you either, I guess, write on paper or write on the iPad, and or do it digitally on like something like Notion. So that's only for note taking, and then you have task management, you have a
Hmm.
calendar, you have a lot of apps just to kind of manage your entire education life while you're at uni. So the idea behind this is that when we kind of bring all of that together into one platform, just having that data together gives you kind of a sense of less overwhelmness, because you just don't need to manage so many apps. And
Yeah.
at the same time, because all the data is together, we can do a lot of cool AI automations. So for example, um, when a lecture starts, we can just like create a new notebook for you with like the lecture title. We can have like a great calculator that will tell you what you need to get in the next assignment, so that you can stay in progression. And
Yeah.
yeah, just a lot of cool stuff, just to let you, I guess, yeah, just manage your life easier.
Yeah, I don't want to date myself, but when I was in school, the Excel spreadsheets were my way of tracking these things. So in particular, I was very invested in like
Mhm.
making really good grade trackers because I wanted to know like how bad could I do and still keep my A,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know? So
And like you pulled up a calculator and just started doing some calculations, right?
yeah, yeah. I've
Mhm.
got it. I think I've got screenshots of it somewhere. But I would have like a week by week progression. It would show me my minimum possible grade and my
Yeah.
maximum possible grade, and I just track it over time as it went on.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I don't know. I got really interested in like every at the start of every semester. It was just fun to grab the syllabuses and figure out, okay, how can I plug this into my grade calculator
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and get it all working? Because
yeah.
everyone had like different strategies. So
For me, I found this application. Actually, it's a website called Grade Guide that I used, and you just basically like create a new subject, and you say how many credits it's worth, and then you say, for example, oh, it's in assignment one I got 80%, and then assignment two is 20%.
yeah.
That's like the load of it, so it will tell you basically what you need to get in the next ones. So that's kind of like the idea from that. But yeah, Noodle is just like a lot of stuff together in one place, because the way I imagine it is like, when you wake up in the morning after you have breakfast and you want to like just see what you have for the day, it's, you just go to one place,
Yeah.
and that's basically that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, aside from my spreadsheet, it would have been great to have things like integrated for sure. But
Mhm.
like, I'm pretty sure I was using like OneNote at the time, which is like the Microsoft dumbed down version, I guess, of Notion, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I used Craft for my note taking. I used Things 3 for my task management, and then I used Fantastical for my timetable and just calendar.
mhm.
So that was like the base
So
three.
you're running your own education stack essentially,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
basically.
this is writing a stack where everything's integrated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And because everything is integrated, you can have a lot of automation stuff running around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Definitely a really cool time for that right now with
yeah.
the advances that's going on in AI. Like I'm not
Mhm.
I'm staying on the sidelines for most of it, but I've used like ChatGPT a little
Yeah.
bit. It's helped me learn some stuff
Hmm.
interestingly.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really use ChatGPT that much, to be honest. But for me, I think AI is its most powerful when it just makes what you already use a lot more powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So
And
yeah,
ChatGPT seems uh like such a Swiss Army knife for a lot of knowledge work.
yeah.
It just doesn't work for some things too,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
for the things it does work with, it's remarkably cool.
Exactly.
But yeah, we got Sinclair in here. Noodle
Oh,
for the win. You've already
yep.
got fans. I think you've already got like, how many stars do you have on this project already?
It has just passed over 60 stars now.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, it's exciting, honestly. There is just so much though to do for it because you're essentially making so many applications into one.
Right.
Yeah, there is going to be a lot to do for it, but I guess yeah, for every challenge, as I'm just excited for it.
Yeah. Well, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah,
I'm trying to find the link to the repo right now, but
it's
Twitter's down. It
it I
seems
don't
like,
know I don't know with you it's always down. There it is.
yeah.
But yeah. Also, if you just visit the URL, there is absolutely nothing because I am still in very early development. So yeah.
Yeah.
But this is, I guess, where this live stream comes in because we will make a lot of generators.
Well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we wanted to talk. So to Abdel Hakim's point here. Welcome, by
Mm-hmm.
the way, Abdel Hakim. Hope you enjoy the stream. But one of the things that I was anxious to get you on for is just to
Mm-hmm.
talk about Monorepo stuff in
Yeah.
general.
Of course.
Um, and just well, in general,
Mm-hmm.
Monorepos in JS are going through like there's an interesting amount of interest in there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's on most people's the forefront of most people's attention. Like,
Unless you may, yeah, but yeah.
yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's a cool time. Like there's some competition right now
mhm,
between some of the major tools, and yeah, NX for sure. Like we're putting a lot of resources into
yeah, yeah.
pushing our stuff now. So
I do like that there is a lot of competition, but at the same time, because there is a lot of competition and a lot of ways to do things, there isn't really a silver bullet into
yeah,
like what is the right way and what's the wrong way. Um, so like I've seen a lot of monorepo setups that are just like, okay, this works, let's just keep it like that, and then eventually it breaks because yeah, there isn't really a guideline or a lot of information into the setup of a monorepo itself. Into and I'm not talking about the basics, I'm talking like very deep into it.
right.
So yeah.
Well, I think at the basics there
Hmm.
are. I think there's kind of two paths you can take, right?
Hmm.
Like you can kind of go down the idea that you're going to use some workspaces functionality from like a
Yep.
package manager. I
Yep.
think that's what you opt for, right? Inside of
Yeah.
Noodle here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Shall we, since we're talking about monorepos,
yeah,
shall we stop screen sharing?
yeah.
Mhm.
Let's put that away and we can just see us like that.
Perfect. All
Better.
right. Now let's talk monorepos.
Yes, let's
Yeah.
talk monorepos.
Yeah.
So for Noodle, you're
Uh-huh.
using PNPM workspaces,
Yes, I
correct?
am. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So that's the that choice right there is the choice I think that's more prevalent these days.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'll see if I see something out in the wild. That's especially if they're not using NX. Actually,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see they're definitely using workspaces of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like NX will support workspaces now, of course. Um, but it's an interesting choice, and it's absolutely I think the choice you want to make if you're thinking about publishing packages
Exactly.
to a registry,
Exactly.
because it's going to leverage the same mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of workspaces functionality is going to leverage the same mechanisms you'll use to publish. So like
Mm-hmm.
things like your package JSON is going to define what your project looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll have package scripts. That's how you can run your tasks. NX is going to hook into that for your task running. I believe all the other major monorepo tools are going to do something similar,
Yeah.
where they're using package scripts to define your task running and have some other way of defining task pipelines. In
Mm-hmm.
general, I think actually all of the monorepo tools out there have very similar APIs around this.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
you can pretty much plug and play. Like, you just have to change the name of the JSON file,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
for the most part.
Honestly, like with Noodle, I started as an NX monorepo, like
Hmm.
an integrated monorepo, and then I decided to rewrite the entire thing, and not in terms of the project setup, but in terms of the project itself.
Hmm.
And in that time, I also decided to switch from an NX integrated monorepo into a PNPM workspace.
Hmm.
The reason behind it is one, it's because I like pain.
Okay.
No, it's honestly like it's because basically I just wanted to have that granular, I guess, um, control over every single piece.
Hmm.
I also wanted to be because when I was setting up a monorepo, I didn't have much guidance into a PNPM workspace. So basically, I decided to do the messing around and
Hmm.
then trying to find what
Out.
works. Yeah, yeah, basically. Yeah. I decided to find out for myself, and that way as well, Noodle will become a monorepo starter at the same time.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
because Noodle is an open source thing, right? It's so the idea behind it is that in the process of creating that, we can leverage a lot of stuff that a lot of people can use. So one of these is when I'm done with the project setup, there will be a branch in Noodle that will be just the from that point on, that will just be the monorepo kind of starter that people can just use as a template. The A lot of people also have seen the design on Twitter, and I do kind of also think it's really nice. So there will be as well a UI component library that will be published, and people can use that. For example, I was setting up Next.auth. I still then set it up, like not pushed on GitHub, but
Hmm.
there wasn't like a package for mocking Next.auth for vtest. So I'll do a package that mocks Next.auth for vtest and publish it so people can
Oh,
use it.
neat. So you
Yeah,
can publish it right from your monorepo
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
the
Yeah.
registry.
So like basically, yeah, throughout the journey, basically whatever I feel, okay, this is a pain, and I decide like, and I solve it, I'm gonna push it out to people.
Oh, awesome.
So
Well, that's
yeah,
neat.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
there's definitely some possibilities we could do for generators there too along the
yeah,
way, by the way.
yeah,
But
exactly.
maybe let's pop off the stack because we were
Hmm.
talking originally about like there's choices that you can have with monorepos.
Hmm.
The one that we see for almost anything non-NX is going to be like grounded around the workspaces functionality.
Hmm. Hmm.
You mentioned the alternative, which is the NX integrated
Yes.
approach. Do you want to talk more about that and your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I think it's great. I think if you're not publishing anything, if you're a closed.
Well, yeah. Do you want to explain what it is, or I can do that too?
Well, the idea behind it is with PNPM workspaces, you're using the package manager to kind of share the packages together throughout like through the node modules, right? It's
Hmm.
like PNPM, for example, does a symlink. But NX, you can also kind of do it. You can also do it by yourself without actually like starting from an NX integrated point. But instead of building something, right, you have actually three choices. So one of them is just a PNPM workspace with an actual build step. So you run TSC, for example, to actually generate a dist folder, and then that one would be the JavaScript, and it would be symlinked into the node modules with another package, like at another package's destination, and they just kind of share the code that way. The second approach is to use just like in the package JSON, you can define the main field into as a TypeScript file, like into the source file,
Right.
and that way you're deferring the build step to whatever is going to be the last package to use this, like kind of what groups all of them. So, for example, the Next.js app, you have the ability to transpile packages.
Hmm.
So that one will be the one to basically do the build for you. And then the third one is to use TypeScript paths, which NX integrated. Monorepo style does use that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, honestly, there isn't really like one approach that's better than the other. I do like to have my own build step instead of doing a transpilation to the application itself,
Right.
because I guess that way it's more versatile. Because what if suddenly I change to something that doesn't transpile the package?
Hmm.
That would be a big headache. And at the same time, with integrated monorepos like the TypeScript paths, you see, I might be talking gibberish stuff. I'm not sure about that, but I would like to kind of do a test where I want to know how fast TypeScript basically analyzes a .d.ts file compared to a source TypeScript file.
Right.
Because I have a theory that with TypeScript paths, as the I guess the project grows larger and you have more paths of more packages, it can, I don't know if it will or not, but it might get slower, especially if you're using a really heavy TypeScript like library. Um, so I'm wondering if it's the same issue with a .d.ts file as well with your old like build step or not, which would be, I think, a really cool thing to find out. So yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting to
Hmm.
check out.
Hmm.
Um, I think I'm actually. Let me throw on my screen real quick, and we can
Hmm.
look at like an example of an integrated monorepo, just so we can show like have some concrete example of what that looks
Okay.
like. Let's see, got that on screen now. So
Yep.
ignore the TS file. That's not really that interesting to what we're
Hmm.
talking about right now. But um, this project, because we're using an integrated style,
Hmm.
really like this is the way that TypeScript is going to define
Hmm.
a path so that when we import from, for example, Acme/API, we just redirect it here to this
Hmm.
uh, path right here. So if we followed this through in my file system to where our where that lands, that index.ts file,
Yeah.
this is what's going to get imported, right? So it's kind of like what you were saying. Um, in a workspaces approach, you're either going to build out to a dist directory,
Yeah.
and then you're going to read from that, and that's also defined inside of your package JSON. Now
Hmm.
you'll notice actually for this library right here, I actually don't have a package JSON, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it's I'm not sure if that's always a good thing because especially in the JavaScript ecosystem, you're going to look for a package JSON to define what's going
Hmm.
on in a project. But what we do have is a project.json, and this is going to define things in maybe a NX domain specific way.
Hmm. Hmm.
So targets is your scripts, and
But a lot more powerful though.
yes,
A lot of
much more powerful.
a lot of people use npm run all, and just like for parallel tasks and stuff like that. With NX targets, you don't need any of that. The executors.
Yeah. Well, you've got the executors here. You can
Hmm.
actually too, just as a point to mention, if you're using a package-based approach and you're using NX, you can also
Yeah.
use a project JSON inside of that too, and
I
leverage
mhm.
some of the benefits here.
I actually have that for one of the packages in Noodle.
Oh, really?
I
Cool.
have a mix of uh, package JSON scripts and also a project JSON script.
Yeah. Well,
So
very
yeah.
cool. Well, yeah. So we'll take a look. I know we're going to look at Noodle in a second, so we'll
Hmm.
see that as an example of like a package-based approach. But
Okay.
the integrated approach, we saw a lot of the stuff already. There's like the TS config base that's going to tell
Hmm.
TypeScript, where to import things from.
Hmm.
But then we'll also have the NX.json. This will be present in the package as well.
Hmm. In
Um,
both approaches, yeah.
Right. So I guess this is defining things at an NX level and how to do things.
Yeah.
At some point, we also had a workspace.json, which
Hmm.
its job was essentially just to tell NX where to find your packages, like define where they are. So not that different from, for example, you'll have like the PNPM workspace
Yeah.
YAML
Yeah.
file, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were doing the same things.
Hmm.
We actually got rid of that inside of NX in exchange for, like, by the convention, if there is a directory with a project.json in it, then that is a package as far as NX is aware. So we don't need to define somewhere else. We'll just find it from your file system. So I know there's some questions in here. Let's hit the questions, and then we can let's plan to go into Noodle after that.
Okay.
So let's start with Tharuka Bandara. What's up, sir? Who thinks it'll be quite useful if we could also have a dev talk on Monorepo version management using Lerna and what NX brings to the picture. That's a great point. So much of the problems around monorepos right now are around versioning and publishing. So that's something that's on our radar. We do have, so NX as a company, we also are stewards for Lerna, and we're using Lerna as a way right now of providing a way of packaging, publishing and versioning your packages inside of a monorepo. Currently, we're using Lerna inside of NX to make it do, like, to do the versioning and publishing steps. So in general, though, like, monorepos are a way around that versioning problem, because if everything's in the same monorepo, you don't have to worry, like, if these are separated out. You have really two options at that point if you want to, like, have things, use things across repos. One is Git submodules. Have you ever worked with those, Ahmed?
No, I haven't, and
it sucks.
I hope I don't. Yeah, I hope I don't.
So the idea for a Git submodule is inside of your Git project, there's a whole separate Git tree that's going to, you can commit to it separately, you can do all these things separately. It sounds like it might be cool until you actually work with it, and it's terrible when you actually work with it.
I mean, for versioning overall, like, I guess, yeah, you have two options, which is every package gets its own separate version, right? And you have just, we have a change in the UI. Let's just bump the version for everything.
Yes. Well, that's in the case where you're into a monorepo, right? Yeah, I think so. Before you go down that, I do want to go down that road. The other approach you can take there, the alternative to Git submodules, is you publish to a registry. And that's really where versioning hell gets real bad, because then you have to say, every time you deploy a new version out from a dependency, you gotta make sure the thing that's using it is pointing to the new dependency, set all that up. That's a whole pain in the butt. So you use monorepos to get around that. And then you have this other dimension of the problem that Ahmed was talking about, which is, how do you version your packages if you got a bunch of packages in the repo? And this is especially interesting for Noodle, because, as you mentioned, you're going to want to have packages that are not actually Noodle specific. It sounds like that you want to publish from the Noodle repo.
Yeah, basically, I want to. Okay, basically, I want to kind of create an open source empire from that. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. But yeah, so you're saying about there's the two different approaches you could take, obviously. Like, the one was, whenever you touch anything, you bump everything. Even if it doesn't change. Well, I guess you could go either way on that. But you could just say publish everything that was changed to this new version, or you could say publish everything, doesn't matter if it was changed or not. Who cares if it has a different version? This will make things easier for everyone to just be aligned on. Or the alternative is, obviously, each package has their own version. I think this is probably the route you'll want to pursue if you do what you're talking about inside of Noodle. So
I think for something like Storybook, for example, it doesn't make sense for them to have every package to be a separate version, because you typically associate, like, this is Storybook 7, I'm going to use the version 7 of this add-on as well.
Right.
But something like what I'm going to be doing, which is just a UI library, like components library, it has no association with, for example, the next auth vtest mock library, right? There is no need to then have these be pinned at the same version all of the time. So yeah, just depends really about the ecosystem that you're going to be publishing out, how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different weird dimensions to this too. I
Hmm.
was talking with Tanner from TanStack just about how to do stuff for his libraries, because all of
Hmm.
his libraries, they tend to be, well, there's a core there,
Yeah.
but then outside of that core, there's, the React package, the React implementation of that, but then there's
Hmm.
also like a Vue one, a Svelte one, and a Solid one.
Hmm.
And it would be nice to have those things all, like, they need to be coordinated around the core version in some way. But if you bump the React version, it really shouldn't matter to, the
Yeah,
person
it's
using
true.
Solid if
Yeah.
they're using that. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that dimension of, I guess, that scenario, I have no clue. I haven't messed around with versioning that much to know as much as I did mess around with build steps.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, we've got more questions in here. I want to.
Okay.
Ruslan has been asking a whole bunch of stuff. Ruslan Gonzalez, welcome. So let's go through them. Let's try to blaze through this.
Hmm.
Off-topic question: do you suggest using the package-based approach for managing microservice apps? I
Hmm.
mean, to get the possibility to segregate dependencies. I don't know. I haven't messed too much with microservices myself. I had one
Yeah.
project
Same.
that touched it. I used an integrated approach that seemed to work fine for me.
Hmm.
But I was specifically going for a single version policy still within that. So the single version policy being that
Hmm.
I didn't have a package JSON in any of my libs. I just had one at the root. And that way, if I bumped a dependency for one of my things, it would bump up for all. Now, this was my own project, so I wasn't
Hmm.
working with other people. And that's definitely a limitation. Like if you wanted to do something where you had a bunch of other teams involved, maybe different teams want to use different packages. If this is microservices, it's on backend, so it doesn't really matter too much if you're like, each one of these should be kind of sandbox. But there's
Hmm.
nothing to say, like you can still add a package JSON file into your projects inside of an integrated approach. And that way you can still manage those dependencies individually.
Hmm.
So that's a way forward.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, go ahead, Ahmed. Sorry.
I haven't really like used microservices, so I've
Noodle's
no
not
clue.
microservice based. Oh,
No, it's TRPC serverless based.
nice. We'll
Yeah,
get into that here soon, but
we had
let's
a
convert a workspace based
yeah,
monorepo into a package based one.
yes, you
Yeah,
can. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The thing is though, if you do that, I think you would lose a lot of the generator's ability. That's the thing. So
yeah,
basically, there is, I guess, there is the downside of it, yeah, because yeah, NX generators, a lot of the shipped ones, like the package, like for example at NX slash rollup, for example, or something like that, that would have a hard time working with a package based approach. So you're gonna need to basically configure everything yourself.
yeah.
But yeah, it's you just delete all of the paths from TypeScript and then just include package JSON in every package, the PNPM workspace file, and you just yeah have your build steps and all of that stuff for all the packages.
Yep. Yep. And like we said too, if you're using the package-based approach, you can have that project JSON too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just as Ahmed mentioned, it's probably our executors probably won't work in that scenario. They might in
Yeah.
some cases actually, but they're not designed to.
Hmm.
The all of our generators at the moment are designed to work for an integrated approach. But
Yeah.
as we'll see, hopefully later on the stream, you can totally do like our generator API. I actually love it. Like
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
it's so cool, and we'll get into that later. But we're
Yeah.
essentially like copying Node.fs, so but in
Hmm.
a virtual file system. So it's good to like snapshot your project when you run it to make a copy of it, and that way we
Hmm.
can have like a virtual file system to work with, make changes around to it, but like it won't actually take until like the whole command
Yeah.
completes and we actually commit that to your file system.
Yeah.
So
Also, one more thing about switching to a package-based approach is
mhm.
you're gonna probably have a depends on build in every single task in your
Yes.
NX.json. The problem with it is basically, and a lot of people kind of don't really realize it. But if you want to have a build in a package, any of the dependencies must be built before, so that, for example, your lint works. So you can't just run lint on a package and basically without the dependencies being built, because that will just be like this variable has an any value or something like that, an any type. So this is one of the disadvantage of a package-based approach, is that you need the depends on build. In some cases, you don't need it, in terms of if you have in the GitHub CI, for example, workflow, you run the build of the packages beforehand. But that doesn't work with NX affected, because NX affected wants like it kind of is isolated. But yeah, if, for example, if you use NX run many, you can actually just tell it, just build the packages first and then run lint, so you're always sure that lint will have, I guess, when it goes to the lint step, it will have the dependencies.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
In some cases too, even if you're using an integrated approach, you're going to have the depends on for builds if you want to do
Mhm.
something like an incremental build.
Yeah.
So that's in an incremental build. It's like the NX executors will be set up to check to see, like, is there something in the dist directory here where we would expect to see like this path. So we actually like rework the path mapping so
Mhm.
to support an incremental build, and rather than grabbing your actual stuff from your source file, we're going to grab it from where it must have been built to.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so that's neat. But
Yeah.
yeah, going to Rustlin again. The only good thing on Git modules is you can allow access to teams to specific parts of your code base, but managing right is cumbersome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've worked with this like a couple times in my career, and ugh, it's just a mess.
Mhm.
I feel like working without Git submodules for most of the time, it's just like my mental model is, here is a linked list of commits. It already gets weirded up when you talk about rebasing versus like merging and how do
Mhm.
you work with different pieces of that linked list. But then when you talk about, well, you can actually nest some other tree inside of there as well. Um,
I guess it works for like approaches where you have a part of your project is open source and then a part is closed source.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think that's what Russell's talking about here
Yeah.
too. So I think in that scenario, you kind of have to do something like this,
Mhm. Mhm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But there you go. Tharuka, that case is true. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what you were mentioning there, but incremental versioning also have its own complications. Yep, find it useful to have some in detail insights on versioning as well as integrating with pipelines. Yeah, 100%. We're looking at some stuff there too in terms of how we can make that better for NX. So
Mhm.
that's all I can say for it at the moment. But we may see some stuff that coming down there too. Kuba, what's up, sir? So Kuba uses a
Yep.
hybrid NX approach where we run some of the tasks with package.json and some using XJS. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely, can 100% do that. Even if you're using integrated approach, like
Mhm.
you don't need NX plugins to use the tool. Like you can just and you can keep this inside of a project JSON too, and just use like
Mhm.
the run commands, or we actually just support a commands property inside of a task now too. And that
Yes.
commands would just be what you throw inside of your package scripts.
And
So
you can make it parallel or not as well.
yeah, that's just a easy configuration there
Yeah.
instead of having to import some other tool
Mhm.
just in
Mhm.
order to parallelize something or to sequentialize it. Or
Yeah.
I think Kenzie Dodds had like a package around this. I think it's called NPS, Node Package Scripts.
There is a lot of them. There is npm run all, which
Okay.
contains two commands, basically, one for just running multiple commands and one for having them parallel.
Hmm.
But yeah, you need to kind of install that to have that functionality in your package JSON scripts, while you can just make a project JSON and just use the next executor that comes in baked in. So yeah.
100%. All right, I think it's time, Ahmed.
All right.
You want to throw up Noodle?
Okay, let me show, after a few months of messing around with Monorepos, what I came up with. Right?
Sure. Let's get this question while you're pulling it up.
Oh yeah.
Let's add that to the stream. There we go. So Ruslan asks, am I right that not many people are using NX for backend MS development? What's MS
Yeah.
development? Is that? Microsoft, like .NET. I can't really
Okay.
believe it. I've been using it for a while now. Yeah, I don't know.
Wait,
Uh, a
meaning
lot.
what?
Yeah, if especially if you check out, there's a plugin that we have. One of our engineers at NX actually maintains it, not as part of their NX work, but on the side. His name's
Mhm,
Gregory. He maintains a .NET plugin, and the caching on his package that you can see for .NET packages is instant versus the built-in .NET caching actually does some other linking steps. Like it doesn't cache the whole uh, artifact. It caches some pieces of it along the way. So you still have to
mhm,
do some linking inside of there. Okay, yeah, microservices. Got it.
okay.
So yeah, I actually think NX seems like a perfect fit for microservices.
Mhm,
Especially like in the one project I was doing it, my own little one man microservices project. The dependency graph is so good for that, just for figuring out like which
mhm.
pieces depend on each other, what packages depend on each other, uh, things like that. So yeah.
Actually, yeah, speaking about the graph, I have
Yeah. Oh, let's
a
throw
view
up
of it now.
Ahmed's screen again. So this is Noodle.
Yes,
Look at that.
for now.
Not
I
a
think.
circular dependency in sight.
Oh no, no, we don't do that.
We don't do
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
here.
no. Um, yeah. Let's, I guess, explain my approach with the entire thing.
Sure.
So yeah.
Let me highlight Michael's
Okay.
enthusiasm because that's pretty cool.
What is it?
It says NX is the perfect fit for anything, and he'll
Yeah.
die on this hill. So
I
don't put yourself in danger, Michael. But appreciate it. That's awesome.
yeah. So yeah. For Noodle, yeah, it's a PNPM workspace. So I define here where it has all of the packages, and you can see that I have something called packages config, which I'll get to in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just in the root here, we have like Prettier, and I use actually Prettier to do sorting my imports because ESLint is not a formatter; it's only a linter. Um, so it
Yeah.
shouldn't do any formatting. But
I do. It is okay. There is
mm,
something to be said for having that fix ability. I wish more people took advantage of that. But
yeah, I do like the fix ability, of course. I
hmm.
mean, I do have it as well here as an action on save.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, I do have it. Um, but yeah, for example, the I have an ESLint rule that kind of just warns you about using interfaces because I like to use types more. So that would
Oh,
auto fix, for example, from an interface to a type, you know.
I don't think it matters, man. That's
No, it doesn't. No, no, it absolutely doesn't. It
then
just
why are you linting for it?
it just came basically with TypeScript ESLint strict. I was like, okay,
Okay.
I'll just keep it on.
So wait, do you have that set to warn or do you have that set to error though?
I think it's error.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure. It
So
depends
you
what the
won't commit
default
any
is.
interfaces, essentially,
It,
is what you're looking for.
I mean, sometimes, sometimes, by the way, you do need an interface.
Hmm.
I'm just saying. For example, in Next.auth, when you're setting it up in the app, like the kind of the wrapper around all of the pages, you need to kind of give it the page props dot session, but page props is in any. So for you to extend basically the normal app props, you need to kind of use an interface. I tried with a type. Maybe I'm too dumb to figure out how to do it with a type, but yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I just yeah, for Prettier I have four plugins. Sort imports that will sort my imports. This one will organize the package JSON actually. So for example, it's gonna have make sure that the name is at the top of the file
Right.
and stuff like that. JSDoc formats JSDoc like types, and then Tailwind for classes as well.
Oh,
Basically,
cool.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it for Prettier. I have like some stuff for Renovate and CodeCov. If you see the ESLint here, it looks very empty for a root ESLint, and also the tsconfig file.
Yeah.
Um,
Just the fact that you have a CJS file there just makes me kind of sad to be
Why?
honest. I don't know, man. The whole C
Yeah.
common versus module, or
Yeah.
CJS versus MJS versus JS, that's complexity no one asks for,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know?
I did try to go all out in ESM, but yeah, that was a failed attempt.
Right.
Especially with next auth as well.
Hmm.
So it like literally it would next auth would fail if you have a type of type module in your package JSON, and like you want to import it basically
Right.
from another package. Um, but yeah, you see here like Noodle base, and as well in the TS config there is Noodle TS config base. So
Yeah.
the
I
idea,
noticed too, if you can you show your package JSON? I believe you have a workspace dependency inside of there too, right? Inside of your dev
uh,
dependencies.
yes, there is like in the dev dependencies there is wait, where is it?
Yes, config noodle, is that it? Or was I thinking
Yes,
of something
there is
else?
Noodle type TS config here, and there is also ESLint config Noodle.
Hmm.
So yeah, the root actually depends on a package in the in the Monorepo.
Right.
Um,
Bless you.
sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. So yeah, basically the architecture of this is that you go into packages, you have your normal packages, but for every tool that you need to configure, you put it as a package inside of the config subfolder. So for example, we have a configuration for ESLint, one for Storybook, for Tailwind, tsconfig, and Vitest, and all of these basically get imported in whatever package needs to, for example, have Storybook or Vitest. You just import these and you can just reuse it. For example, in the Vitest one, I have a base config that is if a package is not using React, and then just one that merges the base config and just adds the React plugin. And that way, I don't need to fiddle around with Vitest anymore. I just like do PNPM install at Noodle slash Vitest, and I
Hmm.
can just import the React config, and that's my testing environment setup there.
Could you show me that actually inside of like one of your React packages?
Yeah,
Is UI React?
yeah. In the UI here,
Okay,
I
cool.
just get everything from Noodle
Yeah,
Vitest.
yeah, yeah. This is similar. So I just asked because like looking at the tan stack stuff, I did
Mm-hmm,
something very similar. I didn't do it quite this way,
mm-hmm,
where I actually had a package that was built, but I had a base like config file at the
yeah.
bottom, and I just had I think I exported a function that said, "Give me the name of your package, and
Mm-hmm,
I'll give you the config that you want," because you have to do some things with, you know, changing out where to find the files
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
whatnot. So
I think actually in terms of the approach, it would be actually better to put the configuration into the package itself.
yeah. Well,
And yeah.
the thing we were looking for is if we changed a setting, like if
Mm-hmm,
we changed I'm blanking on what one of those things could be, but
mm-hmm.
we wanted to change it in one place and have it propagate to all packages
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
that scenario. So that's why we did it the way we did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, but
That's
you get
also
the same thing here
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with maybe the way you're merging those configs. Well, I guess that
Mm-hmm.
merging of the configs. Um,
That comes from Vitest itself actually. It's
is that going to be like the similar to spreading, so we could like
it
overwrite on
It does
top?
it does a deep merge actually, so it's not just
Oh,
a spread. It comes from Vitest, so
hmm,
it ships with Vitest, but it's not type safe. So I added basically
type safety.
yeah type safety to it.
Nice.
So yeah, I export it out of my package as like kind of the type safe version of it.
Yeah.
Because without it, basically, if you use the normal one, when you're then gonna go and like overwrite some settings, you won't get any auto completion like here, basically.
Right.
So yeah, and as well for the setup file, you see at Noodle test utils. So that's another package that basically does everything that is needed to run the tests. For example, wrapping TRPC um, around it, and it will also this one will also be used to wrap, for example, next auth provider. And for the setup as well, I use MSW, so all of the mocks are actually in the test utils. So I do a the TRPC mocking of the API basically, um, in the handlers, and yeah, that is also used in the test utils. So
Mhm.
that all basically ships out into from a package, and you just, yeah, same thing, import it. So yeah, you just do that, and then you have the setup, the testing environment all set up for you. Um, and yeah, I used two TS configs for every package. So the first one is just used to provide, firstly, LSP when you're editing for all of the files, and for
Yeah.
ESLint to be able to lint all of the files. This is not used for compilation at all. The
Right.
the one that's used for compilation is the build one, and the difference is that I only take whatever is inside source, because that's what I really care about. I don't care, for
Right.
example, about the tailwind config.ts, but I still want ESLint to lint it in terms
Right.
of
Right.
a TypeScript manner. So yeah, tsconfig build just extends from that. It extends from the root tsconfig and just only includes whatever is inside source.
Right. That makes perfect
Um,
sense.
yeah, and then in terms of the ESLint config, by the way, is one of the best things that is inside this monorepo. And for ESLint, every I guess tech, or like library that you configure, you put it as a separate file, and then that way, for example, in the UI ESLint, I'm just doing Noodle React, Noodle VTest, and Noodle Storybook, because that's what I use in the UI package, right?
Mhm.
And in the root ESLint, we're using the base one, and we're setting all of the TS configs basically
Right.
to see from. But in terms of, for example, inside the package, you just tell it what you're using. So I'm using React, I'm using VTest, I'm using Storybook, and that's it. ESLint is set up for you. So the base one handles all of the TypeScript stuff, because TypeScript is all over. It's all the entire monorepo is TypeScript. Of course, we don't use JavaScript. And then,
We
for
do,
example,
we
yeah,
don't do that here.
yeah.
That's the
Uh,
theme of this stream. It seems like.
but yeah, for example, Next.js, this is the plugin for it. It's very simple, right? But it gives you that, I guess, a bit better way of doing ESLint.
Right.
This is for Playwright, so I'm only allowing the Playwright plugin in terms of, in anything, in whatever is inside an E2E file, so that they don't clash with the VTest as well in terms of rules.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's something
Um,
you hit a lot, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that way basically VTest and Playwright linting rules don't clash together.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is the one for VTest. This is the one for Storybook. And yeah, for example, in the Next.js application for ESLint, using React because Next.js, and the next VTest and Playwright. That's pretty much it. These are kind of needed for the Next.js plugin to work.
Right.
So yeah, it's honestly, it made ESLint so much easier for me to set up, and it's really nice.
That's awesome.
um, but yeah, Tailwind as well. So I make my own Tailwind preset that is used all over. So that, for example, because I use Radix UI colors instead of Tailwind colors,
Mhm.
so I just define it in one place here,
Okay.
and then I have Radix UI colors all over.
Neat. What are the Radix colors? Is it the same names for the classes, or
No,
I haven't used that before. Let me see.
so Radix colors for me just look better. Like, um, I'll show you. It's these. They're very they're made a bit different in that every shade is not just a brighter or a darker variant. Every shade actually has a purpose. So if you go to, for example, understanding the scale, like number 4 is only for hovered UI element backgrounds, stuff like
Mm,
that. So
I
it's like
see.
it's more strict, but you're sure that it's the colors are accessible because you're using them. For example, you're always going to use number 9 for a solid background, right? So
Okay.
you're always going to sure that it's all going to work out fine.
Yeah. I
Mm.
just throw a number in there, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I I mean I'm really taking care of accessibility with this one. So
Yeah.
for example, in Storybook, I have like the accessibility plugin that
Okay.
Adam defined and all of that stuff. I can actually show Storybook. One of the coolest things as well is that I have a Storybook package that basically groups all of the stories in the entire monorepo basically, and you can just view all of the different stories in the entire monorepo with one instance, and you can also do it so that you start only the storybook of a specific package.
Mhm.
So for example, I can do storybook storybook, which is a bit weird. It's because the
Yeah.
package name is storybook and the script name is storybook.
Yeah. I ran that command too when I was
Yeah,
looking at your stuff. But I
yeah,
was like, oh, okay. I guess
yeah.
that works.
So yeah, that basically runs the entire storybook, and this is obviously there is only one thing now. Yeah, we're still in the setup phase, okay, um, but it is working. So for example, like you have dark mode in Tailwind that took me forever to actually do,
Mm,
and you have a lot of viewports of a lot of devices as well.
yeah.
um, and yeah, accessibility and all of that stuff. But yeah, basically, with this command, it's not just scanning the UI library. If there is a story in another library, it will group all of that together. So
Yeah.
basically, this is the one that you ship out. But let's say that you're only working on the UI components library, so you can just do
Storybook
storybook
UI.
UI,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
and that will only run the storybook of the UI package.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is that basically.
Casual NX type pipelining. Well,
Yeah,
right before it happens. I love that piece though. Like,
which one?
um, well, so if you scroll up a little bit, you can see NX is running the dependent tasks on
Oh
this
yeah, yeah.
beforehand.
This one.
So
Wait, this one. Yeah,
yeah, I think there's more than that. If you look at UI for whatever reason, there's 6.
yeah.
So
It's because UI depends on a lot more packages to be built,
right.
basically. Um, but yeah, also there is an output style that I really like with NX. It's output style equals stream. This one.
Hmm.
It's really nice when there is like multiple packages. So for example, when I do PNPM dev, actually, it's using that by default. So you see how on the left side here, it has like it
Right.
tells you exactly which package this line comes from.
Yeah. Rushland just asked if it's possible to find your project on a public repo. Yes.
Yeah, it is open source.
Ahmed's whole thing here is he wants this to be his open
Mhm.
source empire. So
Yes,
anything that you're seeing on the
absolutely.
stream here, you'll be able to find on his
Yeah.
project. I linked it earlier. Let me, guess it was a while back.
Mhm.
Let me drop it in again here. But yeah, let's see. You go give it a star while you're there, because
Yes,
how many
please.
are you at now?
I think last time I checked is 63.
Nice.
Mhm. Um, but yeah, um,
There we go.
continuing on. Actually, do you want me to drop some, I guess, some unconventional opinions by some people that
Let's make it
like you would?
spicy.
Yeah, would you like me to say some controversial stuff maybe?
If you want, I mean, don't
Okay.
feel like you have to, but
Yeah. Well,
I'm not opposed.
okay. Basically, I do think there is a place for git commit hooks, and it's only for prettier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Only for
but
prettier.
yeah, only for prettier.
Okay.
It's because it's super fast that it's not gonna take any time, right?
Hmm.
The second bit is I have had some scenarios where basically I wait like 10 minutes for CI to just tell me that I forgot an extra, like a trailing space in one line, right? So
Yeah.
I just think git commit hooks with prettier is like kind of a no-brainer because you're always just make sure that your formatting is right, and you do still have it in CI. I'm not saying like to not remove it from CI, but just having it there as a backup in terms of git commit hooks, and you can just do dash n, I guess, to like not use it, right? But
Yeah.
For me, it just gives me a lot of, it saves my time, to be honest.
Yeah, I
So
hear
yeah,
you.
this is I guess the first one.
Hmm.
What other one do I have actually? Um. Oh yeah, I actually not I'm not as big of a fan of TSUp as some people are.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
was perusing some of the TypeScript docs, and they list TS up officially now. Um,
TSUp TSUp is great. No, don't get me wrong. But it has one flaw that makes it, for example, impossible to use for a TRPC package in a monorepo. That is that it doesn't do declaration maps.
mm,
That's
it
the thing.
doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
What? What?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So basically, without declaration maps, you have absolutely no way of like your go-to definition would just go to the .d.ts file in your dist, but not to the source file.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, basically, um, for example, if I go here to my TRPC initialization, right?
Right.
If I do command click on app router, I'm taking exactly where it is,
Right.
to the source and not to the dist. That's because of declaration maps.
Hmm.
So yeah, without that, it would take you into this file basically, which you can't really use.
Yeah. It's
So
not
yeah,
fun.
I mean, honestly, if you're shipping something out to npm, use tsup. It's a lot faster, and you don't need the declaration maps really. I mean, sometimes you do. It just depends really if you want people to go into your source files and you shipping as well source files into the package into npm, because declaration maps as well need the source files.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it depends on that. If you don't need that, just yeah, use tsup. It's faster than tsc.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, good call there. Well, should we transition now, Ahmed?
Mhm.
Do we want to add these generators? Are
Let's
we
do it.
ready?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
All right. We did like a little dry run before the stream started just to make sure this works. So, do you
Yeah,
remember the steps?
I do. Yeah, PNPM add NX
Hmm.
plugin.
Yep. So we're adding the NX plugin, and we're just matching the version that Ahmed
Mhm,
has for NX right now, just to
mhm.
make sure these things play nice together.
Yeah, basically. Sadly, it might install Jest in here, which is not
Ahmed
great.
worked so hard to keep Jest out, but
I even patched testing library just on, by the way, to not include Jest right here.
yeah,
By the way, this is actually, you do need that if you're using testing library, just DOM with vtest, because otherwise your describe and your it and all of these functions, the type of them, like the types of them will be to
they'll point
just,
to the Jest ones instead of the
yeah, yeah,
vtest
yeah.
ones, actually,
and
which
and for,
is
yeah.
terrible.
Hmm. And
There's one place for like for the most part the APIs match up almost perfectly,
yes,
but I
yeah,
believe it's on function mocks. The
I
parameters and the outputs are switched in order for
I
whatever in the generics, which blows my mind. But
for
yeah,
me, it's not about the that you might have a difference in the API, because I think in most cases you won't really.
yeah,
But for me, it's the fact that sometimes you might copy, for example, something from the internet that uses just .mock, for example,
yeah.
right? That would not complain, because the just namespace would be a valid thing in TypeScript for you. But then you run vtest and it's gonna like,
It's
what
gonna
is
be like,
just?
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's basically that. You just, the PNPM has patching abilities, so you just
Yeah, it's worthwhile to just mention what that is too, because
um
when you first showed me this, I
mhm,
had to do this for the TANSEC stuff I was
mhm,
working on too, to make sure we did show the just stuff
yeah,
inside of there. But this is actually going to overwrite what's in your. This is going to patch like it
yes,
says
yeah,
your
yeah,
node modules.
yeah,
So
basically. So yeah, this one just deletes the reference of the just types, and that makes it not include the just types. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
basically that. Yeah. it's really
something
nice.
new for me.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. I guess it works for this use case. It almost sucks that we have it in there. It would be
Yeah.
great if, I guess the package would get rid of it or make it
Hmm.
optional or
Hmm.
something like that. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, this works. So we're
I guess I guess because the package name is just DOM after all, it's kind of
that's
very
fair
close to
enough.
it. Yeah, yeah. But oh well.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess we need Vitesse DOM.
yeah, exactly.
Well, there we go. But
Um,
okay, so at this point, we've installed the plugin.
mhm.
But what we need to do is now create a project inside of your workspace
Yeah,
based off the plugin. So
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
that's what
We'll
I was doing. I like that you kept the name Nudes. So
no,
Nudes, I guess, is going to be the name of
yeah, yeah.
of our internal plugin,
Mhm.
our internal NX plugin.
Not just internal, but I might publish these generators, and then it will always be called nudes.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
That'll
So
be
yeah.
an interesting origin. So y'all heard it here live. I guess. Why don't you hit that generate and we'll go through
Yeah.
that.
It will unfortunately, yeah, do just which I will immediately delete.
Fair
Um.
enough.
Yeah.
Well, here's like you could if you wanted to, we could add a new plugin generator for nudes, which does exactly what you're doing right now. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the generators is just automating the steps that you would have done manually normally. So
Mhm.
I
I
think
wonder.
yeah, go ahead.
I wonder if because there is a package JSON as well, I don't need the like the path.
I'm not sure
Hmm.
actually. You can try to get rid of it, but I
We
believe
will need to build nudes though.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Then we would need to build it.
Which should be actually quite easy. We don't need an ESLint because it gets propagated from the root, and then
Right.
we don't need just config. Um, the project JSON. Oh, there is a lot in here. Okay, we'll keep that. Just not the test one.
Yeah. Ruslan had a question here. Just to understand, are you using package-based approach because you want the ability to publish these libraries?
Not only that, but because I kind of have a lot more flexibility in terms of how I configure things and the granularity of it all, basically.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the entire packages config thing with ESLint and all of that stuff. That's something that, yeah, I wanted basically every control that I could get over configuration.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, and yeah, for publishing as well.
Cool. Well,
Um,
do you want to monkey at getting a build step in, or do we want to try to throw in a generator now?
let's just throw a generator and see if it works.
Okay.
And then
So
if it
oh,
works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll do a build step.
sounds good.
Mhm,
Okay. So far we've created our nudes plugin. This is where we're going
mhm.
to put all of our generators. So now we
Yeah.
have to add a generator to the plugin. So
Yes.
that's what Ahmed will do now.
Um,
So we run the command nx generate, and then we give it the name generator. You
mhm.
probably don't need the scope actually. Like you could just do nxg generator, and I think that
Uh,
will be able to find it correctly. Do you want to try or
sure.
let's give it a shot?
NXG generate. Okay, let's do it.
Let's see if that works.
Mm,
Yep, it found it.
yeah, I did.
So there we go. I think I think this came in late 15, which is if you don't give a like a package scope to the name
Mhm.
of the generator, we'll find it if there's only one. If there's multiple, we'll actually ask you which one you want to use. So that's neat.
Oh yeah, it already works there as well. What
Yep.
name would you like to use?
Oh, that's awesome. So you built the UI you generated a UI component generator, and then you
Yeah,
use the generator there. Do you want to
yeah,
see if it works on NX console? I think we may need to do the UI refresh there, but see if
no,
it
it does.
works. It's there. There we
Yeah,
go.
it does.
Cool. And you can see the form that we saw there.
Mhm.
I did a video on this earlier this week.
The
The
lit
Yep.
stuff.
built with lit now, so that's cool. But
Mhm.
the form here is actually generated by the schema that we made. Right now, the schema only has like a name as the input, so you can
It's
see there.
yeah, this one.
Yep. So that's just
Yeah,
saying like there's a name
component.
parameter, and if you look at the source, it's going to come from the first. It's going to be
Mhm.
the first argument. So
What about the default here? What? Oh, it's just. Oh yeah. Okay. So you can do like, um, for example, hello, and the first argument would be the name, right?
yes. Yep.
Okay. Game.
Now, if you also didn't do anything there, so if you got rid of hello, the
Yeah.
X prompt property on there is
Yeah.
prompting you to give that.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go. That is easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ruslan says in the comments here, once you start using the NX console, you can't go back to using the CLI. I
Mhm.
actually like doing a combination of the two. Like I'll
Yeah.
use the form sometimes, especially if I'm not remembering exactly what the option is or what like the different options on that option were. But what I'll do is I think they still have this. So if you go to the generate UI pane there, there's a place where you can copy the
Um,
command. So
where?
sometimes I'll do that. So go to the generate UI tab in the editor pane.
Gener
Yep,
yeah.
that one right there. So if you give that a name, just put like test or something like that. Um,
It will
oh,
give you.
I guess you could grab it from right there inside of the terminal because this is like an integrated terminal. We used to
Yeah.
have a button to just copy it though.
Huh.
So I wonder if that got taken out now. But I used to use
So
that piece all the time
we
for that.
might have an error.
Uh-oh.
Can't find module. Okay.
Wait, is that only working from the integrated terminal? If you run that,
Let's see.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's not good.
That's okay.
We can't
It-
find the module.
it's because the paths.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And because we were without the path, we would need to build before we
Right.
run the generator.
And then we'd have
Uh,
to, yeah, that would be fun. So
Run, and yeah,
there we go.
there you go. Okay, let's
Let's actually do
prepare.
some work now.
Okay, so I would say for the objective is for us to create a UI component for the design system library, which is the UI.
Hmm.
So we're gonna need the name of the component, right?
Hmm.
And we will need to generate three different files. So a spec file, a stories file, and the actual component file itself.
Okay. Where
Um,
do you, and you want to, so typography here is an example of one
yeah,
component. So we want
yeah,
exactly this, and
yeah, kind
do we want it to look exactly like this too?
yeah, yeah, I think so.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah,
Kuba over here says never used NX console, don't have VS Code. What do you use, Kuba? Do you use
New Vim,
IntelliJ? No, not NeoVim.
not
Oh
New
no,
Vim.
I don't like NeoVim. Do you like NeoVim?
Yes, I do.
Why aren't you using NeoVim?
You know what? We are switching to New
Oh
Vim from
no.
now on. There we go. We
Okay.
are now gonna use New Vim.
All right. Well, I guess we're doing this.
Yep. This is
Okay.
Astrovim.
So just out of completely unrelated here,
Yep.
but does
Oh no.
NeoVim support plugins in the way that VS Code does, like a
Yes.
graphical plugin?
Yeah, yeah. It does. So
I've
for
I have no
example,
idea. I've never messed with the the NeoVim stuff. I had to use VI a lot in
hmm,
college, and well,
for example, like this is like kind of the package manager of New Vim. So
okay,
it's like kind of
Mason.nvim.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That's like the package manager basically where you install all of the plugins.
gotcha.
Um, Also, yeah,
So we could launch a web view in here like we do for the generate UI.
or no web view, no, no, no. It's gonna
It
be
would have
like
to
a
be like a
terminal view.
terminal view.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
I
yeah.
never did that before, but I don't know. Maybe John can figure it out.
I'm
We'll
never
see.
gonna go. Also, we might want to move back to VS Code because
Ah,
one
ah.
second. Yeah.
so
I
much better.
so this is something with ESLint, LSP, and NewVim. Sometimes you get this. Basically, you're gonna need to modify ESLint LSP to check where the the nearest Git file is, and then
Mm,
get the kind of root ESLint file from that.
gotcha.
Yeah. Anyways, so do you want to create the files first?
Yeah, I mean, we'll generate these templates for you. I forget the
Mm-hmm.
name of the technology we're using to import those templates, but
Hmm.
what I honestly do is I just make a like a function that returns a string for the templates of most of these things.
Oh,
Um, so
okay.
we could do either way. The way it's set up though, if you look at the file structure there inside of the UI component,
Uh-huh.
um, wait, where is the template? Could you scroll up again there for?
There's this one.
Yeah, so you can actually do stuff in here. So this is an
Yeah,
example of one of
yeah,
these
yeah.
template files where we're
Uh-huh.
using sort of that interpolation to fill things in.
Mhm. I was
I
thinking we can then just do the three files inside that
We could
file.
do that, yeah. What I always do is I just get rid of the templates. I just create a function that returns a string, and
Mm-hmm.
then that's the contents of the file. Most of the time, I find that's better, just because I don't have to be switching between
Yeah.
files too much.
Okay,
So
let's do
we
that.
could
Yeah,
do
yeah.
either way.
Let's do that. So delete the entire files folder, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, is that going to do what I think it does?
Um,
Yeah.
that would be fine.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
the stuff we generated when we first created the generator, it's going to hook all those things up for you. Like line 22, that's where
Yeah,
those things
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. So I
I
guess
I
we
just get rid of that, but
get rid of that, and
yep.
then in. So I was looking at the dry run actually,
Mhm.
and it's trying to get it into a libs folder.
Right.
We don't want to create a library.
Right. We don't actually want to pass the library as a parameter either, right?
Hmm.
This is always going to go inside of the UI project.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we actually just don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, package root just becomes packages slash UI. Is that all it
Okay.
is?
Yeah. It
And
is.
that's it.
I would say,
Um.
or UI slash source as well,
Oh, okay.
just to get, I guess, closer. So there.
Mhm.
Project type. What's that for?
So this is to add project configuration. We actually don't
Oh.
need this.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
here's the mental model. Let me set this so we can
Okay.
we can look at it. On starting on line 11, we're exporting our function, the UI component generator. This is going to take our two options or our two parameters. The first is the tree. So this is remember at earlier on in the stream I said we're going to take like a snapshot of your file system for this project. Like we're not going outside of that sign box, but we're
Yeah.
taking a snapshot of everything inside the project. That's what your
Mhm.
tree is. And we're
And
actually going to mutate that tree as we go through this generator,
mhm.
right?
That's
Um,
also how you can do the dry run without actually affecting your file system.
exactly. Yeah. So
Um,
so we're going to do that. And then the options, you can think of this almost as like the context here. So the options is going to have like anything inside of that schema that we
mhm.
define that we say, hey, what do we like? Are there any other options beside name? Right now we just have name. I think
Yeah.
that's probably all we want for the scope of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It is.
I would get rid of project root altogether. You
Okay.
can keep the format files at the end. That's like essentially going to run prettier for us. I don't remember if that actually runs prettier or what exactly it's
Yeah.
doing, but that's going to add
Yeah.
like a format step to the end.
It does because there is also PNPM NX format, check and format, right?
Mhm.
Which does run prettier, but only on the files that have changed.
Right.
Um,
So yeah, we want to keep that at the bottom.
yes.
That's just going to format things after we're all done. But now, yeah, like you're doing, you grab the name out
The,
of our options.
yeah, and this is like so we firstly create, I guess, like the template string for the template of the files.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's going to work is I believe if you look at the tree interface, we'll have just a way to add a file to that tree, to the tree object. So that's what we're going to call is tree dot write. Exactly. And that's going to take a file path. Yep.
Okay, and the
and then a
content.
content.
Okay. That's easy.
Yeah, I told you. So like we don't need to mess around with all the templates. Let's not make this harder than it is. Like if the only thing I would do here, if you wanted to, and this is only if you want, just make a function for each one of the different steps. Like write the TSX file, write the test file, write the storybook file.
Like const generate component file, and that would probably take the tree as well, as an argument, and then you would return tree.
You probably want the name too, right?
That is true.
Yep.
So we will do packages UI source name, and then name tsx, and then for the content we can just
just grab what we got there, and we'll just like interpolate where we need to, or add interpolation where we need to.
There we go. And for example here it's going to be the name dot to uppercase, because
let me pull up one of the articles I had written there. We do have a way of like having like camel case as part of the NX dev kit. See if I can find that one. But yeah, that to uppercase works for now.
Okay, so that's basically.
I think to uppercase is going to put it in like all caps, right?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, let me find. Unfortunately, we don't call it like Pascal case, but called. Okay, so it's the names function if you want to import names from NX dev kit. I think we installed that. Yeah, we do. So it is the class name is for Pascal case. So you do names, and then inside of you call it as a function.
Okay.
And then you pass name into that function.
The class name?
The option called name that we had, the second parameter of the generator.
Yeah. Okay.
Name, and then you do after that dot class name. Yeah, class name is for Pascal.
Yep. Okay. You should probably do as Pascal and like.
Yes, I agree. Well, as it stands, it's like Pascal is class name, camel case is property name, screaming snake case is constant name. So, yeah, it's whatever. It works for now.
Yeah.
And now you can, like we said, you can just generate it there.
Okay, let's try to. By the way,
you do probably want to make that async, and you want to probably await. I believe is tree write. Is that async?
No, it's not async. It's just.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Void.
My mistake. That's fine then.
Yeah. Also, just a tip: you can actually alias PNPM as just P in your terminal, and then that way it's so much easier to just write.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, PNXG, like it literally just one or two letters for everything.
Yeah. Well, so you know, if you do have NX installed globally, we do have support for just figuring out the correct version of NX to use. So you'll need the only thing that trips me up with this all the time is like it's not available in CI environments usually when you set things up. So we had like the last stream we did was with Dominic from React Query.
Yeah.
We hit that like 5 times because I kept forgetting to add like yarn NX or PNPM NX, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it's like PNPM exec or something.
It depends really, but it should just be PNPM NX for now.
Yeah, but yeah, like you see in the terminal here that I'm showing, now we can run a dry run. We can see like what files get created. There's actually not a way currently to see what the contents of that file would be, but we could figure out a way of doing that. It wouldn't be that hard. But there's no files there yet. So So we can kind of just keep going with this.
You can definitely just console log the template string.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do the other one, which is the story file. Generate.
Generate story file.
By the
Sounds
way,
good.
if you noticed, I used NeoVim inside of VS Code. It's a must.
Why?
Because
But why?
okay, so okay, I'll give you why, right? So basically, I want to rename this function, and everywhere it's used, I just use space L and then capital R, and then I do generate component, and see, it's there. I can do, for example, gr and get all of the references.
I mean, I could do that just by, I don't have that. I just be clever and use Command D, and I get that. So.
Yeah, but you need to use the mouse.
You don't need to use the mouse. You can use the arrows, I guess. But
oh, you mean like the duplicate cursor, whatever, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but you see that one works with multi files as well, so it would work.
You've got me there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess I could. Okay, yeah, we could do the replace all there. But like, yeah, you're right. We need to use the mouse. There's probably some shortcuts. I just sprinkle in the shortcuts when they become helpful, man. I don't know. But we got a question here from Ruslan. Does NX provide CI completions? No, not yet. Not out of the box, at least. I think that would definitely be something that's nice. So that's like, I believe, correct me if I'm misinterpreting the question, Ruslan, but like when you're in the command line, as you start, say you had a really long package name, you would start typing the package name like NX build and then start typing the package name. You should be able to press tab to complete that. Which would be nice. We don't have that currently. The NX console might be our answer to that in the meantime. Like that makes it easy to just go over there and you'll get like the filtering if you use the toolbar version of it. Do you actually show that real quick, Ahmed, if you don't mind?
Which one?
So just do Command P. So not using the UI, but do Command P or Command Shift P rather, and do start typing generate or execute maybe.
It is NX generate UI.
Yeah, NX generate UI is going to open up the web form. If you just do NX generate though, that's going to take you to the one without the UI. So this one will try to run it via the command palette here. So this will be like, you can start typing a generator and it'll like filter things down. And then it'll also ask you like, are you ready to run it? Or do you want to add some more stuff? So yeah, try to do it for UI component real quick.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, you can execute it or we could add a name or, so you can start just like walking through these as you go. Apparently this is like a bigger thing for IntelliJ kind of person. So
yeah, then that works.
Cuba's heading out. Thanks for joining, sir. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch up on the stream. Catch up on the replay later. Have a good day, sir. But yeah. All right. So, but going back to the original stuff. So there's a generate version for that. There's also, you can run that for executors just up at the top there. So that's cool.
Now doing the story. Names, name.class name.
You could destructure it up at the top if you wanted to, so you don't have to keep doing that. I don't know.
True. Okay, name but capital. I like to be explicit.
Yes, me too. Yeah. And okay, the thing I like about doing it this way too, instead of using the template files, is you get like the nice formatting around things. Like it's a string. I know it's a string. I know how to do string interpolation in JavaScript. I'm not sure about the DSL that's going on there for the other one. Like I can probably guess to figure it out, but I like having things solid. So there you go. Name but capital.
There we
Excellent.
go. Name but capital everywhere.
You still got one on line 30 if you want.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
Look good.
Right. Let's try it. Let's see. Oh, we
Doesn't
messed
like
up a
some
little.
stuff.
No, we messed up the syntax.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see. Um, oh yeah, it's my Copilot basically.
Copilot always has the hardest time with closing parens, closing braces,
Yep,
and closing quotes, single
exactly.
or double.
Unexpected token on line 13. What? Yeah, I know. I
Yeah, I think
know.
I see it.
Actually, why do we even have that? We don't need all of that stuff. There we go.
Oh, is that a copy paste issue?
I think so. Okay, there we go.
Do you want to try to run it now? Do you want to try to run Storybook? Just make sure that all works.
Let's see. We should get a hello div. Yep, there
There
it
you go.
is.
And look at that, folks. With just 30 minutes, we saved
Mhm.
what would have taken us 2 seconds.
No, it gets powerful when you do generation of entire packages because
Yes.
so for example, it's one thing that I will use it for. I always have the same. I literally it's basically whenever I make a new package, I count how many package JSON fields that I have. If
Hmm.
there's seven, then I know that I didn't miss anyone of
Mm,
them, right? So
okay.
you and I always have the two tsconfig files, right? The source directory, sometimes the vtest config, sometimes like ESLint if I'm using React or something like that, and I need to extend from the base one. So yeah, it
Mm,
would be nice to have a generator to just generate an entire package for you, and that will save you a lot of time.
yeah.
Probably not like the component ones. It's cool to use, but it's not like a massive
It's
like
not a massive time decrease, especially if you're working by
mhm,
yourself, but it does
mhm.
have the advantage of codifying. This is how you add a UI component.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
if you didn't do this, if you didn't have it in code like what we're doing right now,
Mhm.
you would have it in some README file, or
Yeah,
it may
yeah,
be. Like
basically,
otherwise,
yeah.
you're just like pattern match, guys. Come on, and it's going to be easy for things to get out
Mhm,
of sync
mhm,
there. So this
mm,
is, I don't know, it's a good way of getting things in sync.
mhm.
Ruslan mentioned here struggling. I remember struggling myself with AST when building generators. So
That is one
um,
thing I want to learn about.
yeah,
So
ASTs are really cool.
mhm,
It's definitely worth going down the rabbit hole, but for this, we don't need it. Like
yeah.
for just generating new stuff, don't bother with ASTs, in my
Um,
opinion. If you
what
want,
the
where ASTs come in really handy is when you
mhm,
do some of the stuff that we do on the NX side, where we write
mhm,
the migrations. So this
mhm,
is like whenever there's a migration from like the Angular version is always real bad at this. We have to do a bunch of fixes across the major versions.
mhm,
But let's say if there's like some breaking change in React where we could actually anticipate
mhm,
this fix, where like I think before you always had to import React at the top of the file or something like that,
mhm,
and with a new change you didn't need to anymore. With one of these, like you probably don't need AST for this either, but you could be maybe more thorough by using AST
mhm,
to
mhm.
find that import statement, an import statement that's importing React, and remove it,
Yeah.
which is really neat. But
Um, I have a question.
oh,
So
before we get into the question,
oh yeah.
someone wants your color theme. Ahmed,
Oh
Victoria
yeah.
wants your color theme. What's up,
Uh,
Victoria? By the way, welcome, welcome.
so my color theme is called Lunar Pink.
Ooh,
Um, I don't actually know why I went for this, but it's
it looks like a
actually really nice.
Pokeball, so I
Yeah.
approve.
It's really nice, honestly. It's really cozy to code in.
Yeah.
I always switch between this one and the GitHub Dark default, but I have this one actually customized, so that everything is the same background color. So that I have like a 3000, like yeah, I have a 1000 liner VS Code settings file.
Yeah, dang.
Yeah, but
You like customizing your stuff.
yes.
Typical NeoVim user.
But yeah,
I have
basically,
nothing, by the way.
yeah,
Like I'm just like happy with what
yeah.
comes out of the box. So
Um,
I'm good
just
with that.
if anyone wants GitHub dark default, but with the same background color for everything, just screenshot now, I guess, and
Yeah.
enjoy. Also for the VS Code dark plus as well, same background color. So yeah, okay, let me go back to Lunar Pink. All right.
Shout out to Ori too. I think Ori, I missed it. This is my fault, Ori. They were trying to help us with the error we were seeing earlier, but
Oh,
Ori. Shout out. All right. So we've got 2 of the 3 files.
yeah.
This is why I love having separating these out into functions. When you look
Mhm.
at it now, like you just look starting on line 33,
Yeah.
it's very clear what this is doing, especially compared to where we started with the
Yeah.
generator.
Yeah.
So
Generate.
now we just have a final function. We're going to generate our test file.
Mhm.
So
Let me hmm, let me empty out our string template.
yep.
There we go. And then for the spec file, we'll take all of that stuff and then paste it here.
Yep.
Um, so this will be name but capital.
Why don't you just find all of the typographies? Just do Command D, like a sane person. Find all the typography. We'll replace that with name right now.
Wait, I'll do it in an even way.
No.
Yes. Um,
Because Command D's right there, man. I guess that
name
works.
capital G. There
Okay,
we go.
one thing I will say that I don't
Uh,
like about Command D,
yeah.
for all my VS Code fellows out there, I hate that it actually depends on your current settings for find all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll match the case sensitivity there. I really dislike that actually, but it is what it is.
For me, it doesn't work right because I have Navim taking over editing now.
Okay.
So, like, if I do this, for example, oh, it does. It does actually work.
Oh, neat.
Sometimes it doesn't. But yeah. So here, just name. That's it, actually.
That's it.
So yeah, let's generate test file. There we go. Let's run it. Not this one. This one. I'm wondering if it will. Oh, it just updates. But where's the new file?
I don't know. Did you not hit save? Oh, we didn't
Oh
call it.
no. Nope.
Oh, I saw that. I was like,
Mhm.
let him cook, and then remember to tell him that, and I didn't. So,
There
so
we go.
in this case, I believe Write is actually writing over those other files there.
Okay.
It's just because there was no changes actually to
Uh-huh.
the hello.tsx file.
Yep. It
It
didn't do
didn't.
anything.
It didn't list. It did get listed in the dry run. Like
Mhm.
that's the mechanism going on the dry run. We're actually doing like a diff at the end
Okay.
of it. So if even if you write to something, but there's no changes from what the original snapshot showed, you wouldn't see it. So I believe if you wanted to like run it again, I don't think you'd see anything. Um, I don't know. See if that's true before I say it.
Which one?
Just run the same generator command you just ran.
But dry run?
Yeah, but with the dry run.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it did do anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah. The
that's what we
test.
expect. That means it's idempotent.
Mhm. Oh yeah. The
Not that
test.
idempotent generators should be a priority for you or anything, but I guess that's a good sign.
Mhm.
So what did you do there? You ran the spec file. Sure it
Yeah.
passed.
I ran it, and it's working.
Cool.
So yeah, I think the next step for us is to actually add an export now into the index.ts, which I guess will show how we modify files.
Yes. So we'll want to do that. So
Mhm.
maybe just make a new function just to say that, like add as an
Um,
export or something.
and
I don't know,
export
to barrel file
to
or
index. Yeah,
sure.
to index file 3.read. Okay,
Hmm.
let's see if Copilot does it right.
Let's see. Yeah. It probably doesn't need
Okay.
that line, but
Yeah.
yep, that looks right. It's doing it better than I probably would have.
Do that right. Return.
That's it. You can get rid of the return, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I swear if this just works. This is add export. Oh, okay,
Ruslan's
let's
headed
see
out.
what this.
Thanks, Ruslan. Appreciate you coming in and contributing on the stream. That's awesome. Hope
Thank
you have
you.
a good
Bye
day,
bye.
sir.
So it firstly reads the file and then checks if it actually exists, errors out it if it doesn't, and it changes to UTF-8, and then it generates a new
Now, line
string.
58, I actually don't think you need at all. I believe what's happening there is this is so interesting that we're having this conversation even, but I believe AI is confusing the NX API to the file system API because you don't need that.
There is a difference in types though. So index file is a buffer, but then after toString UTF-8, it becomes a string.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
see? Copilot got you.
It knows it better than I did. Jeez. Okay. But I don't think we need UTF-8 as the parameter there. I think we
Okay,
could just say toString.
let's see. Okay, I can just do just index file and just remove that. Okay. So you wanna test it? Let's try it.
Sure.
Okay. So NX. So it updated the index.ts and sure, yeah, it's there.
Yeah, maybe an extra line there we don't want, but
Yeah, it did do an extra line, which I think that is because of
that right there.
Is it the end?
Yeah. Yeah. I think what we'll want to do, I was hoping like stuff like format. Usually the format that you're calling at the very end that
Yep.
catches a lot of those things,
Mhm.
but that's not against any of the prettier formatting things to have a space in between. So really, what we want to do is like if we want to do it right, we just like remove the line before it and then stick the line in. So I don't know if you want to do that or if it's just not that
No,
important.
the thing is, even if I do add a line, my prettier won't not complain or change it. That's the thing.
Right. Right.
Because
Well, that's what I was saying is like you take your import, like go back to the generator where we're adding it to the index file. Like you take the initial file contents and remove the last ending line if you wanted to do it.
like in terms of if I wanted to do it like that, still.
Yeah. Well, no, you'd actually do it the other way. I don't know. Well, try that. See, does that work?
Yeah, that works.
Oh, that works. Okay, my bad. I was trying to get you to trim off the line at the end. I thought that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But okay, that gives us what we want.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that's for the UI component. Do you want to do now a TRPC router?
Yeah, if you want, if you feel up to it.
By the
I think it's not going to be that hard, honestly, if
no,
it's just like pretty standard boilerplate.
it actually will be because there is I think it might require some AST because you want to add the new router into the object.
Okay.
And I have no clue how to do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
That would take a while, I think. Right?
What's that?
That would take a while.
It would. I don't know how to do that off the top of my head. We'd have to like
Yeah.
go through. We'd have to parse the AST and
Yep.
figure that out.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do
Well,
if it were just me. I'd look for a create router with an open brace and open curly, and then append something in between that one. That's honestly that's what I do for a lot of these things. For these generators, it's not that big of a deal. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like another benefit of having this, like if you look at Ahmed's source control tab right there, as we're doing these things, these are getting caught by source control. So this includes when you run any generator. In general, my recommendation is like just drop a commit before you run any generator, and that way you can like just see what the generator did.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so like it's not that hard, you know,
Mhm.
to pen that back in, and you
Yeah.
know, just make it work. Like
Oh,
code generation too. I don't think, like you were talking about silver bullets before for
yep.
monorepos.
Yeah.
Code generation isn't the silver bullet. It's not something you should
No,
be like overly relying on.
I agree.
It's just like a nice automation thing.
I
So
think I think it should be used in places where you cannot enforce any linting rules or all of that stuff, and you want to keep it kind of consistent between the teams. So, for
mhm,
example, right, I want that every component will have its own stories and spec file as well for the tests, right?
right.
Someone might miss that, but if they use the generators, they won't.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's sending signals too for how things ought to be done.
Hmm.
And it's automating those and codifying them. Like README files suck.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not the README file's fault. It's English's fault, honestly. Like English is a very imprecise language compared to like what we're looking at on the screen.
Hmm.
Um, so that's one major benefit to these. Is not so much. Well, there is an aspect of just having a nice bit of automation for you, so you don't have to go in. Oh, what's the step to do this? In particular, like setting up some of the tools. If you wanted to add some new, like if you wanted to do a package generator, I think that would actually be really cool. If
Yes.
you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
I want to have a package generator, but all my stuff needs to have vtest. So I'm going to
Hmm.
set up
Hmm.
vtest for this. That's where this can actually do a lot of heavy lifting.
I think
But again, you don't need an AST because you're probably just, you know, uh, generating new stuff. So
no,
AST
no,
doesn't really help you too much there. But would you
how
actually
would
have to go touch some of the other files? I don't know
no,
for
you
vtest.
wouldn't need to touch any of the other files, but you're gonna need to probably run a command, for example, like
Hmm.
PNPM install.
Yeah.
So
Well,
how would you run a command in a generator?
how would you run a command in a generator?
Yeah, yeah. Like let's say, for example, after I generate some files, I wanna do like PNPM install.
Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't
Oh
work very
man.
well. There is a way to do it,
Yeah.
but it's not as nice as the stuff we're looking at. Let me
Yeah.
see where that happens because that's something we do now for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Some of
Um,
your generators do have that, definitely.
yeah. See, it's probably somewhere in the dev kit. Let me
Mm.
check our docs. We're working on updating the docs for the dev kit in particular
Oh,
because
yeah,
I know
that
that's a
would be
piece.
really nice.
Yeah. Right now, if you look at the docs we have for it, like a lot of the API is there. It's just kind of
Hmm.
all in the one file or all in the one page, which isn't great, but like it checks the box.
Hmm.
Um, let's see what's going on with the API. Go to the API. Dev kit. Um, Install packages task is the name of the thing you want to
What is it?
import. Install packages task. I'll send it. I'll drop it in the
Oh,
public
I
chat
found
here
it.
too.
I found it.
Yeah.
Um, so it takes the tree.
Yeah, but see, it's not as nice. Like this
Yeah.
is a special generator that we had, or it kind of is a generator actually. We'll get into that later, but
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
a special step we have just to to install those things the uh, to the file system. But we're escaping the virtual file system at that point.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of like if you're running in a virtual mode, I think that's kind of like a no op.
Hmm.
But if you're running against the actual file system, like we're actually going to, after things are committed, then we'll run that as well. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Sounds good. But
But
yeah, I
yeah.
think I think for me, I'm gonna do that package generator because I think that would be a massive thing.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna transfer this to kind of because TS configs are complaining and the paths and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So I'll also do it so that it has a build step and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to get into,
Hmm.
because we're kind of wrapping up at this point, I feel like,
Yeah.
but one of the big things here is because of the JavaScript nature of this. Like you look at what gets exported on line 71,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to share generators. Like you can actually if
Oh,
you're using an integrated monorepo, you
yeah.
should just be importing the first party NX generators and
Mm-hmm.
calling them inside of your stuff, and then like making some changes at the end. Or
Okay.
or
Okay.
or
Yeah.
like another option is you use our generators, but then inside of these options, because each one of
Mm-hmm.
them has an options, you can pre-fill what those options are going to be based on a smaller set of options that you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
require from the user. So
Okay, so it's like composing generators from another generators.
yes, but it's we're only using JavaScript as our composition
Yeah.
mechanism, which I really like. Actually, I think that's part of what I love so much about the API. And this
Mm-hmm.
means too, Ahmed, if you want to make this the empire you want,
Yeah.
like what you could do is have a I don't know if we're sticking with nudes here, you could call
Oh
it
yeah.
nudes slash vtest. That
Yep.
could be your NX plugin. And then you'd say, this is a NX plugin that's specifically designed to add vtest to a package-based
Mm-hmm.
package
Mm-hmm.
inside of your
Mm-hmm.
NX monorepo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you do your actual one to write the package, you just import the one from vtest. You import the other tools you're using. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whichever those are, the other things, ESLints.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really love ESLint,
Mhm. No, no,
right?
I don't like ESLint. So you see,
Okay.
ESLint, I am waiting for the rewrite. They're completely rewriting ESLint actually.
Mm,
I'm waiting for that because that would be a big improvement. But
yeah.
currently, I absolutely hate it. But um, honestly, the configuration of ESLint is just very tedious. So
Mm,
the kind of solution that I found to that is like that's the nice bit about it.
gotcha. Well, there you
Yeah.
go. Like in the meantime, you can codify that solution in a
Mhm,
way that
mhm.
other people can use, and like not only just use so that they can call it themselves, but use so that they can compose themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
If they want to do like a specific set of these different things, that's the idea for the NX
Mhm,
plugin ecosystem is
mhm,
like
mhm.
with all of our first package or first party stuff. Those are great, especially for the integrated approach that we were talking about
Yes.
before.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
really, like this is the reason I really was looking forward to this stream is
Mhm,
actually because there's no reason why we couldn't have generators, especially for
mhm,
package-based solutions,
mhm.
because the
Yeah.
API is really just this simple.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, the API is simple, and yeah, I would say there is probably a path for NX integrated generators to just kind of check if we're on an integrated monorepo or a package based, and then kind of generate based on that.
right.
Because you can just check, I guess, if there is a PNPM workspace.yaml, and if there is, then okay, we're in a package.
Yeah, I think we already have stuff inside of like all the stuff that we're doing. We already
Mhm.
have utilities written for like is this a workspaces
Yeah,
monorepo
yeah,
or
yeah.
not? So
So
we'll
yeah,
we'll
that
figure it
that
out.
would be really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think too, like the generators are such a big piece of like the what these monorepo tool sets can bring. So
Mhm.
and X is obviously, you know, we're doing a lot of stuff there already. I think that, you know, other tools are going to start into that. Sorry,
Yeah,
with the
no worries.
cascaded. But but yeah, other tools are going to start doing some of that stuff too.
Mhm,
So
mhm, mhm.
being able to have something for the package based solution, I think, is also going to be big for, I don't
Yep.
know, if people want to switch to NX but don't want it to be that heavy of a lift.
Mhm,
They can still
mhm.
maintain a lot of the generators just by switching to NX package based generators, maybe
Yeah,
at some
yeah,
point
yeah,
down the line.
basically. Yeah,
Or
yeah.
maybe, you know, they should go to the Noodle based generators because
Yeah,
you got your
honestly,
empire.
we can make a deal where you keep the next generators only integrated monorepos, and then from this point on, any generator that comes for package-based monorepos is nudes.
That's NOODS
Yes, yes. Yeah,
based
yeah.
on Noodle. Nothing untoward's happening here.
Yeah.
Nicholas, what's up, sir? Nice to
Hello.
see you around. You're catching the tail end of this. I think.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to talk about here, Ahmed? Or
Um, so generators we did. Oh yeah,
what's your thoughts on the
Prisma.
composability here? Are you stoked on this? Are you as stoked as I am,
Yeah.
or am I weird?
No, no, honestly, I think it's really easy to make a generator.
Hmm.
There is the prospect of you making too many generators if you really like it, because you're just gonna start making generators for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that. But yeah, I think it's really powerful in terms of the aspects of just making stuff that is tedious, just like that.
Yes. Exactly.
But yeah, we can move on to Prisma and Monorepos, because that is something. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I still haven't messed with Prisma. Everyone, I've had a series of people
Mm-hmm.
tell me I should check it out. But honestly, like the next tool I want to check out is right here. Is Clark or
Yeah.
Clark.
Yeah.
I definitely want to check out their auth stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Are you
I
using? Sorry, go ahead.
I was really really hesitant with which do I go for, a clerk or next auth, especially that I'm still working on that, basically integrating the authentication solution. Um, Basically, clerk is really good if you're gonna planning on doing like a mobile application or something that is outside of a web browser where next auth is not gonna work. Um, but I tried for the life of me to get Clerk to work in a test environment, and that
Didn't
was
work. Huh.
no, not in Vitas, no.
That's
Um,
unfortunate.
but yeah, I think for the time being, I will go with NextAuth. I'm really also curious what they do with Auth.js, if you've
Hmm.
heard of it.
No.
It's their complete rewrite. It's not going to be just NextAuth for Next.js. It's going to be authentication for everything, basically. So
Interesting.
they will have, like, for example, Auth.js, Kit, Auth.js Next, stuff like that, basically.
Nice.
So yeah, that will be, like, as well, runtime agnostic. It will be Edge compatible and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm stoked about that one, and I'm also really in like what's called I'm really excited as well for the Drizzle
Mhm.
ORM integration, because I want to get out of Prisma.
Yeah.
I just think that the idea of generating TypeScript types in node modules is not great. Um,
Yeah.
Really in CR.
Um, I've spent a good amount of time in Supabase stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Supabase does a similar approach where, well, I like it in some aspects,
Yeah.
but it has the same problem you're talking about where you're generating TypeScript types. Now they're doing it actually from, and they're actually not doing it from the schema for your
Hmm.
Postgres. They're actually generating it from a package that you just point to a running Postgres instance
Hmm.
and tell it like, well, here's the schema, and it's going to generate you the types that work off of that.
Hmm.
And then you just take that types and you put it into the generics when you create the client, and then everything's type saved. Well,
Hmm.
when it works properly, which
Yeah.
it's like a 90% thing. So you still got to come back and like fill in manually the other 10%, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you realize that every time you make a schema change, you're going to have to do that 10%
Exactly,
again.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, that is why I'm also really excited about Drizzle, because as someone that contributed to TRPC,
mhm.
TypeScript as a language is so powerful. Yeah, by the way,
Amen.
there is a there is a TypeScript type system you like that's written in TypeScript. Have you seen that?
No.
There is literally like a TypeScript type checker in TypeScript.
What's the name of this?
I forgot. I forgot, but it was really cool.
Cool.
So yeah, like, for example, in Drizzle, right? You make a change to your schema. There is no generation, nothing. It's your schema is
It's
TypeScript,
just
and
there. It's just
yeah, yeah,
TypeScript. Yeah.
yeah,
So kind of like that was the magic that TRPC gave you,
yeah,
right? Is
yeah, yeah,
that there was no like I think we did a whole video on this. Like
we
after
did.
we had our last stream, it was like,
Hmm.
well, what's the difference here? So before I was going in like, yes, everything lived together and
Hmm.
everything was type safe, but it was type safe because I was manually making sure it was type safe
Exactly.
versus I just wrote it once
Hmm.
and it was built in, the typing was built into my definition of the API. That
Hmm.
that's the better way,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Not
So
just that, but even if you weren't manually maintaining it, you're probably using a code generation step, which
yeah.
means that every change requires you to rerun that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and also one of the things that I guess I did with me just messing around in Monorepos is that I started a lot of dev processes of TSC for a lot of packages just to see how my MacBook handles it, and
Hmm.
I've never like felt my MacBook warm before in my life before that. So I think I had like 12 TSC watches like in parallel because just using a dev command,
Right.
um, and it made the machine just insanely hot.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it's like that's like I want to minimize the amount of processes that I'm running just to do development.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, that sounds super interesting.
mhm.
So, and defining your schema. So I guess then you have a TypeScript API to define your schema,
Yep.
similar to Zod, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
There is as well Drizzle to Zod, which like it will literally just generate Zod like input validators based on your
Yeah.
schema.
Oh, that's neat. So you
So
define a drizzle schema and you can
mhm.
create a Zod schema off of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then use that in your TRPC API to do input validation. All TypeScript, all type safe. That's
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 awesome.
basically yeah. That's basically why we'll probably go with in the near future. I'm just picking, I guess, what's most stable now
Hmm.
in terms of this project. This
Are we
is
going to have
one.
a stability conversation
Oh,
here?
oh God,
Are you using RSC
no, I'm
in
not.
Noodle? You're
Nope,
not.
I'm not. And it's not because it's not stable. I think it is pretty good, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think it does fit a lot of projects. For example, if I'm gonna do a portfolio website now, I'm probably gonna be using RSCs or Astro, which is okay. It's something else, but I wouldn't use
Sure.
Pages directory, right, for a portfolio now. If I just had to choose between Pages and App Router, but for something like Noodle, which is like it's so complex
It's going
that
to be an app. It's not just going to be a
yeah, yeah,
site.
yeah. Not
Yeah.
not just any app, but it's gonna be so complex that you're probably gonna run into through so many hiccups that just having that community that was built and the Stack Overflow history and all of that stuff between the pages router, it's probably gonna get you out of some trouble quicker than app router.
Hmm.
So
Sure.
my motto basically is I'm just gonna let people find out by
Yeah, yeah.
themselves for a bit.
Well, you can't use RSCs with Pages router? Is that the idea?
No, you can use the app router, but you can just need to stick use client at the top of every file, and that would be the
Okay.
same, but you'd get the new routing abilities,
Gotcha.
basically.
Okay.
So it would be the same as the pages router, just with I guess the layouts
Right.
and yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, honestly, it doesn't make much of a difference. Just whatever you like, just use. I mean, there is a lot of people praising Nuxt and Solid and all of that stuff. So
Yeah, I haven't messed with those either, or it's
yeah.
like Solid Start or Nuxt or Vue at all,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
So
I honestly think just competition and not competition, but comparison between all of these different technologies just shouldn't really exist in terms of which one is better.
yeah,
The comparison should exist in terms of which one is more fitting for that case scenario, right? That should be a comparison that should be made. But just just saying, "Oh, Next is better than Next.js,"
that means
different.
nothing to me. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're you say an
Right?
apple is better than an orange, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I don't that doesn't make much sense to me.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
I did do with the app router.
mhm.
I built a Pokedex in like it took me 5 times longer to record the video about making the Pokedex than to actually make the Pokedex.
Oh,
It took me like 15 minutes. I was like,
yeah.
dang, like this is cool.
Mhm.
And I had like I was learning it. Like this wasn't just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I knew things I was going to sit down and build it. No, it was
Mhm.
really cool. And like the only thing I had to look up was like, well, how do I define how to like only create pages because I wanted to have things server side generated.
Yeah.
Uh, so I wanted to say how do I give it the set of pages it needs to generate
Mm-hmm.
beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing I needed to look up. Really, everything else was like self-explanatory,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's what's so powerful about it. I think it's like
It
such a familiar dimension, and it flattens everything about full stack dev into just that. So
it is really powerful. Um, but also there is a lot of case scenarios with the back where like the backend is already a separate thing in the
mhm,
company. Like let's say if you want to migrate to app router and you have, for example, like a mix of backends in different languages and stuff like that, you're a bit hopeless there, kind of.
mhm.
Unless, I mean, you do get the server side rendering, right? You can just fetch, but yeah, I like the full stack type of thing in Next.js in terms of having your API and your front end and everything in one place.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense. Are you using TRPC?
of course I am. Yeah,
That was the
TRPC.
thing. Well, that
Yeah,
was the thing, man.
yeah,
With if you're using RSCs and you're using that the app router
mhm.
up and down the stack, I don't think you need TRPC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's a bit,
That
yeah.
sucks because I know you put a lot of time into it. Like
No,
Dominic had the same exact thing.
mhm.
His is
Yeah, it's the
his
same
like
for React Query. Yeah,
React
yeah,
query is not needed at all. Like
yeah.
doesn't even matter for if you're using RSC or not. I think if you're using Next, you wouldn't
But
if you're doing the data fetching right. Unless
the
you're doing like data fetching inside the client on purpose, then
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
of course use it.
No,
But
there is a place for TRPC in terms of in the app router, which is in terms of just having one place where you define stuff for your API and
yeah,
being able to kind of reuse that everywhere. There is a place for TRPC in Next.js app router, but it's the React query stuff that is the okay. You've
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of no, you don't have really a place in terms of the RSC world, but at the same time, right? It's like not everyone's going to RSC now.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
it's gonna take a while, and there will always be people using pages directory the same way that there is people using jQuery right now.
Yeah. Well, I was on this team really hard, which is
Mm.
spas. We went to spas for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think like there's a lot of people that are still in that camp too. That's like, why are we going back to the server? Spas are
Yeah,
great. Like
yeah.
just honestly, like my stance for a while was like, as yes, you've got to fix things, but really it should be Google that fixes SEO. Like to
I
not
mean,
not work for spas.
I mean,
Really. But
the entire difference between spas and like what is Astro does, like is it like basically just HTML pages,
mhm,
for example, and server side rendering. I think it all depends on the use case. I think if um like static generation, the one that Next.js has, or like better, even better Astro, for example, the way it just generates HTML pages. That's like, I think, like perfect for something that's so static, you know.
mhm. Yeah,
But
100%.
if it comes something to like then an app where, for example, like Noodle, where you have a dashboard for every single user that's has different data for each of them, right? Then you kind of get in then the argument of, okay, do we want server side rendering or a spa? Okay, but a spa, they're gonna see loading spinners, right? Um, it's yeah, you kind of trade it off.
Yeah,
It literally just depends on your scenario, but you should be able to figure out which one is best for you.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Nicholas here likes Noodle,
Yeah.
so
Oh
that's
yeah,
awesome. We
the
were looking
concept.
at that. Check
Yeah.
out the recording, Nicholas. He goes through it all. That's
Mhm.
I really like that too. Actually, on it, so
Yeah.
it's really neat. Maybe I can figure out how to do that to Tanstack at some point because I think they would really benefit from it.
Mhm, mhm.
I'd love
Only
to do kind of like what you were talking about and just give them a generator too, just like a
mhm.
package generator, in case they ever want to add a new one at some point down the road too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah,
cool. Do we end it here? Anything else you want to
um,
chat about?
if you have anything, Because yeah.
I'm so disappointed in you for the coconut milk, but
No, a coconut milk is amazing. Okay, you will never change my mind about that.
have you ever tried whole milk, Ahmed?
I did. Yeah, no, I do use whole milk. Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, coconut milk is just it's just nice. Have you ever
Okay.
had coconut milk?
No. No, I
Exactly.
never need to. I
No,
never have the
no,
need to try anything else because
no.
I've got my whole milk. Actually, so interestingly, I started out a skim milker. My wife converted me. She showed me the way. And it
Hmm.
was a difficult transition, but I'm so much happier now. I'm a
Well,
happier man.
there is always a place just to try out new stuff, So give coconut milk a try. Hmm.
We'll see. I'll have to post it in shame to Twitter when I do. Ahmed convinced me.
I'm gonna start the coconut milk movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, coconut milk and noodles sounds great. But yeah, anything you're looking for in particular? Like we've got some people here. Anything you want to find a
Um,
contributor for? Noodle?
well, honestly, we have everything that you ever want to contribute to. If you want to do front end, back end, APIs, infrastructure, anything really, if you want, anyone can contribute. The thing is, though, I think the scale of the entire project as well kind of demands a separate documentation website that kind of explains contributing and the structure of the entire project and all of that stuff. So yeah,
Are you
there
gonna
is a
build it
lot to
into the
do.
repo too? That site, I imagine.
I think I'll do it as a subdomain. So I think I'll do it as a, for example, an Astro website, maybe for the
Okay.
docs, or it would be as well cool to kind of like, get a Monorepo with both Next.js and Astro working together. It's like,
Yeah,
oof,
absolutely.
yeah.
Especially, it would be so cool to have an example. Like if you're pointing to
Hmm.
Noodle as a great example for open source, to
Hmm.
show this is how you do a doc site here too with
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
we're building.
I
That would
was
be awesome.
I was thinking as well, just because I want people to get to the website as quickly as possible, I might do the landing page in Astro and have that as the home, like the domain, right?
Hmm.
But then the application itself becomes on a subdomain that's the Next.js application.
Yeah,
So yeah, there is a lot of things to kind of figure out and test out with. But yeah, I'll come out of it with a lot more knowledge.
yeah. Well, it sounds like fun.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let me know if you want any help contributing, like a package generator or anything like
for
that.
sure.
It seems like
Yeah.
if I am not mistaken, I caught the
Hmm.
this caught your interest. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
tomorrow you're gonna message me on Discord and be like, I got it.
No, I definitely will do a package generator. It's yeah, that will go on my to-do list.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's end it
Yeah.
at that. We're
All
done
right.
rambling here. Thanks everyone for
Okay.
joining.
Thank you,
We'll see
everyone.
you. We'll probably have one next week for some NX stuff, just
Hmm.
with the internal core team. So check that out. We'll let you know when that comes out. Probably expect it Thursday.
Hmm.
But yeah,
All right. Please start
peace.
Noodle.
Yeah, start it. Go. I'll throw it up one more time. Oh, wait,
All
that's the
right.
wrong one. Where
Oh.
is it? Where is it? There it is. All right, go
There we go.
start it, y'all.
Yep.
Peace.
Thank you.